Garrett Perry podcast take 24. I have Grinch the Airbrush artist in studio, and we're gonna have a good ear beating for you today. Ain't that right, Grinch?
Yeah, how do I look?
You look good. Maybe you should talk into the microphone so people could hear you. You can move that right up to your face if you want.
Okay, how do I look?
You look like you're an artist. You got paint painted all over your pants. You got a music t-shirt on.
Yeah, I dress up real good if I have to, so.
Do you have like a suit and tie or a blazer or something? Or what do you mean?
I do.
I can't even see you in the camera. It's my microphone. For people at home, this is available online on YouTube, on my personal YouTube account. But you can just search the Garrett Perry podcast. You'll find it.
And I'm going there straight after the show. You need a telescope to see that little... Uh-oh, there's my phone.
What is that? Is that a phone call? Put it on speaker.
Can't talk right now. I'm on the air. Bye.
What a phone call.
I don't know.
So you're an airbrush artist. Let's just start from the beginning. What made you get interested in the art of airbrushing?
God put me in place. That's all I can figure out. Born with the talent. Never really had to go to school. You know, I got A's and B's in high school. Basically, I'm from Vancouver. I'm 55 now. I decided to take Prince George as my retreat. Big city is just a little crazy down there right now. But I don't know. It all started back in high school. I put Nazareth Razamanaz, that rock album, on the back of my jean jacket.
So you just did it for your own selfish showing off.
I did. That's what I do. So I went to high school, grade 8, with Nazareth Razamanaz on my coat. And then everybody wanted something on their coat. And I kept doing coats 10 years after high school. And I roughly did about 208. And
that sounds like such an exact number, not roughly. 208 coats.
Excuse me, I logged them all.
Okay.
I wrote them all down. I lost the log, but I remember the number.
What was your favorite design to paint on coats?
Kiss. It was easy.
No doubt, eh?
Yeah,
just white, and there's no like facial colors. It's just straight white and black.
Yeah. Well, it was red faded to yellow at the bottom, and that was always fun, joining the two colors together and making it look just like they did on the album. And I did it just on the coat, and never got any complaints.
Yeah, your work is amazing. It looks so lifelike. It's like, to be an airbrush artist, you got to have that extra. It's like an extra tier of painting. I think there's like, you could do acrylics, you could do watercolors, and then oils, and then it's just like another tier airbrushing. I guess in tattooing, I would say would be, you kind of get the similar looks.
Yeah, and I hope to be tattooing soon.
No way.
Yep. I'm gonna save it for the wheelchair.
Oh, when you so you're getting so old that you're in a wheelchair, you could just tattoo people, so it'd be a lot easier.
Yeah, it's hard to get up off the floor. You know, the knees. I need to grab a ladder. I'm tired of climbing up scaffolds and enough monkeying around.
Yeah, so a lot of your art pieces now are a lot bigger. You've done murals. There's a couple in Prince George that people see every day, like the one outside the Brunswick Senior Center. That one's really prominently on display that people get to see. That's the one I see the most.
Yes, sir.
And then there's also one with the church. There's one is kind of like a...
Yeah, Timbers Church. That was my first one. It features a big Jesus face with his crown of thorns and Timbers logo and church times, and it's where is that now?
It's just a few blocks away from the Brunswick Center.
It's between second and third, or third and fourth. At the back of where Mr. Jake's steakhouse is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's Timber's church office.
I believe that's just right off Third, yeah.
Actually, I had the privilege or the opportunity. Paul Archer was up in town at that time, and we both tackled it on. So it wasn't all me. I had to deal with him.
A collaboration, a true collaboration.
And it's always how would you put this, challenging working with him.
Diplomatically challenging. Just leave it at that.
He just gets into trouble. I'm no saint either.
I would say you're eccentric. That's
Thank you.
say it politely.
Yeah.
Definitely not a normal guy.
So yeah, there's the other big mural was a contest. No one really gets to see it much for some reason. They always miss it because it's at the airport. So everybody's I don't know. It's like nobody has time to stop and look at this huge piece of art. It's 35 feet by 10.
It's quite. Not only is it huge, but it's detailed. There's a lot of detail. You could probably just stare at that thing for hours and find something new every time.
Yeah, I hid a few things in there for people to search and seek and find.
So you won a contest to be able to paint this mural? It was the Canada Winter Games, right?
Canada Winter Games came to PG, and they had a contest for a mural depicting the northern look, BC, the look of the BC North in a picture, and they picked mine, and I won, and I couldn't believe it. So it was quite exciting. It took 3 months to paint. That's when I brought Paul Archer up to speed things along. I thank him a lot for that. Had to pay him dearly. We had a good time. Had a whole bunch of volunteers and everybody pitching in. The bottom line with that mural, what was the question?
I don't know if there was a question. Brought it up.
Okay.
It was detailed.
Well, okay, the thing, a lot of people overlook it and they miss it. And I'm always doing a poll, have you seen my mural at the airport? And it's like over 50% of them say, no, what are you talking about?
I made a trip up there specifically to see it, but the way that you drive around the airport is kind of like behind you when you're driving past it. It's not quite...
Yeah, you can miss it. Okay, when you fly into PG and you leave, it's in the it's there's that door you go in where you board the plane. It's at the other end of the building,
Mm-hmm.
and then when you leave, people just fly to their car and can't wait to get home, and they kind of miss it. So it's kind of a shame. And like strangely enough, they had planned on having everybody look at it, all the athletes and the families and the coaches and all this, and they wanted to get off the plane, look at the mural, and then go see the games. But what actually happened was everybody flew in, and they were all shuffled into a bus, so no one even had a clue it was there, type thing. And then I'm down selling posters and calendars, and people still didn't have a clue, so didn't sell too well, so it kind of bombed. So I'm stuck with a lot of swag.
That's disappointing. Oh, you're listening to the Garrett Perry podcast on 88.7 CFUR. I actually don't know if I said that at the beginning.
Well, thank you.
Grinch the Airbrush artist.
He's in the house.
He's in the house. You brought a whole list of things to talk about. What are some of the things on your list you wanted to talk about?
Okay, let's start. Let me think. Well, if you want to see my work around town, Second Thoughts CD store on 2nd and Brunswick.
Shout out to Larry.
How you doing, Larry? I did when Davy Bowie
When
when Davy Bowie
David
passed away.
Bowie.
So when David Bowie passed away, I did a little commemorative piece on him and put the lightning bolt through his face. But I chose an older picture, a recent picture, and I stuck him back in the Ziggy Stardust mode, and that's in the window of Larry's CD store.
Second Thoughts. Great records place.
I'm there at least once a week picking up something. I also, when Lemmy Kilmeister, he passed away, I did a piece for him too, and I featured the first era of the band and the second era of the band, and I put the boys in the back and
Lemmy in the forefront.
Lemmy in the forefront with his traditional hat.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the whole Motorhead logo, and I changed it up into my own little way, and Larry loved it so much he wanted it, so he actually got a deal.
And that's on display in his shop too, I believe, or at least it used to be.
It's still, it hangs right above his major CD bin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's louder than Motorhead, because they hold the Guinness Book of World Records for the loudest band.
I believe that's true, yeah. You could go deaf going to one of his shows.
But yeah, it's hanging there, and it's pretty loud. And also, Larry ordered Joe Strummer of The Clash. He passed away, so he wanted a personal custom order, so I whipped him up a quickie. And I got 3 pieces hanging there. Let's see, I did I was painting for XL Painting, and I was painting this pretty much a mansion, and I seen some vaulted ceiling, and the owner come in, and I say, you know what you need up there? It was 18 squares of vaulted ceiling. I said, you need skies and cloud. And he said, you know what, you're right. He goes, how much? So I gave him a price, and then a couple of days later he comes in with a big plan. He goes, I'm not the owner, but the owner's like down in Cabo or Panama or something.
Partying it up, probably.
I don't know. So he goes, let's do a surprise for Tom. And he goes, he's a big fan of Gone with the Wind, the Lone Ranger, and he's a part owner of the BC Lions. So I did a big, huge. He's got this theater room that, can hold 12 comfortably. Massages and recliners and popcorn machine and.
The dream theater room, eh?
Yeah, it's state of the art. And so at the back wall is Gone with the Wind famous scene, and then there's the Lone Ranger, Hi-Ho Silver doing, the horse standing up on 2 legs with.
Was that the Johnny Depp version? Or, just kidding.
No, it was the original, the original masked man. And then I did this huge 3-foot by 3-foot BC Lion helmet, and he just loved it. And I'm doing a couple more pieces for him, and here's a sample of one of the pieces.
For the people listening at home, it's a Russian jet with a fighter pilot going into it. It's quite detailed. I like the sun setting in the background and everything through the clouds. That's quite an impressive piece of airbrush.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a Russian MiG, and Tom is in the he's in the Air Force and he's retired now, and he wanted to fly a MiG, so Russia's the only place that offers MiG flying. You gotta lay some cash down, and
Did he actually get to fly it himself or did he just get to go for a ride?
Well, he has to have the Russian cosmonaut co-pilot.
Right, the professional.
So
Make sure he doesn't mess anything up.
I'm sure Tom sat in the back.
It'd still be quite the experience, though. I'd like to go in.
But yeah, he told me the story. He went straight up to the end of the stratosphere and hung himself there in a dead free fall and went backwards. And
Is it like that's when you go straight up in the air and then the engine stalls out and you just start falling, free falling, and you gotta make sure that the engine starts up again or something. I've seen it on TV. It looks terrifying.
yeah, it's probably the best roller coaster ride you can ever get for $4,000. Who knows what it was costing? Oh yeah, back to the Canada Winter Games mural. There's 107 images in there. I hit a Sasquatch in the bushes drinking a caribou.
Oh, that's funny. He's surprised it wasn't. I guess got to make it more Prince George. You couldn't have made him have the traditional kokanee because
Yeah.
they use Bigfoot sometimes advertising.
There was one disappointment with the Canada Winter Games mural. Tene or whatever.
Yeah, the Lake Tene. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that.
Me too. So them guys said no to native images because I was not native and I wasn't indigenous to this.
So you couldn't
They
honor
didn't-
their artwork because you weren't a native artist.
No,
I see.
and I was kind of choked. I felt disrespected, and
Yeah, that's kind of disappointing. I mean, it'd be kind of cool to have some native artwork on display.
Yeah.
On it, in it.
like that was one of the main focuses on coming up with the concept for that Winter Games submission to win the contest, and Native First Nations is a big part of BC.
Yeah, for real. Like we're on the Lake Tene territory that Prince George is located. Like
And I put
Traditionally.
yeah, and I put a lot of images in, and they said no.
they denied you. Like how come? Like why they deny you? I don't know. It's kind of weird when people say that you can't do art in certain ways. My one buddy that went to a school in Terrace, he was doing some traditional native art, and he was supposed to do it in a certain style, and he failed one of the projects. So apparently he like failed at art. It's like
Harsh.
it was harsh. Yeah. How I don't know. That's why I would never go to an art school. I was like, I barely feel like an artist myself painting the cats that I paint.
Yeah, man. Could be some trauma.
I painted a native art cat. I wonder if they'll get mad. But I do have native blood in me, so I might be a step ahead of you.
I think you're doing okay. Let's see. Holy, we got like 40 more minutes.
Yeah, the time kind of feels like it drags on sometimes. It's like, okay, quick, have a conversation. You only have 58 minutes, and then get out of here. Listening to the Garrett Perry Podcast, 88.7 CFUR. Grinch, how do people get a hold of you? How do they commission you if they wanted, or to inquire? How would they suggest they get a hold of you?
Grinch Airbrush at Facebook. It'll take you right to my Facebook, take you right to my real name. But how can you forget the name Grinch Airbrush?
Yeah, if it was just Greg, not that rememberable.
No, no one remembers my name. Like I actually, a friend called me from high school just today, and he came up with one of my goofy last names where, the kids change your last name.
Yeah.
From Gislason to, well, I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want to
Be kicked off the airwaves.
open a can of worms. And let's just stick with Grinch.
Grinch is fine.
You can go Grinchy, Grinch Man, whatever.
Do you have a problem with Christmas?
No.
No? So you don't live up to the character. Or maybe you're past that point and you've accepted the love of Whoville.
No, I've had some good Christmases. I miss the most of them with my grandmother. She had the whole gang. And, that stuff never lasts, so.
Soak it up while you can, folks.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Christmas is not a problem. It's, I guess I end up stealing it and giving it back every year. But
it's that lyric, "You're a strange one, Mr. Grinch." That's how you got the name, right?
Did I ever tell you how the name Grinch came to be?
I don't know. No, I don't think so.
You want to ask?
Hey, how the heck did you get the name Grinch anyway?
Well, I'll tell you. It's kind of funny too. It was actually the first day of high school. You're meeting all the elementaries all together, and I just had this big stupid grin on my face, and I was happy back then for some reason.
What happened? Well, that's another question.
I think I got over my childhood really quick. So it was third class, just before noon. It was math. Alvin Rolfe is sitting in the front next to this girl, and I was in the back smiling, I guess. So she turns to Alvin and goes, "How come that guy's always smiling?" And Alvin goes, "Oh, he's not smiling, baby. He's grinning like the Grinch." So the whole classroom heard that, and I swear the next day people started calling me that at 8 a.m. And then not soon after that, I don't know, 2 weeks later, I show up with a jean jacket, and then everybody wanted one. I did Led Zeppelin's Swan Song label twice on a coat. 3 or 4 kisses of Van Halen. Some people wanted a custom East Van Bad Boys with a skull, something that I could whip up out of my head, and it just kept going on and on and on. And Ted Nugent, Overdose of Rock and Roll. What were some of my favorites? I did Nazareth a few times. Bad Company, Black Sabbath. I did Black Sabbath, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath album cover. If anybody out there has seen this album cover, it's pretty intense, and it took me a year to paint because it was so hard. And I was grade 10, so.
What's the Sabbath Bloody Sabbath? Is that the one with the masks, the gas masks?
No, it's the one with it. It's a black album, and it's white and pink, and it features some kind of an orgy going on from as if hell exists. It was just kind of a orgy fest with snakes and demons all focused on one subject. I don't want to get into too much detail, but
I'm gonna Google it now. I'm curious. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. Huh?
there was a couple naked parts.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
Naked parts such as breasts, but
breastises. I see the breasts.
Yeah, and
oh man, that's like only 2 colors though. Yeah, no wonder why that took you so long.
Yeah, it was hard to paint. You know, I never went to art school, so I had to figure it out real quick.
Have you? There's this local band in French George. They're a surf rock, Black Sabbath cover band. They're called Children of the Wave.
Oh yeah.
They're just releasing their first debut album on the 27th of October at the Legion. And they're going to be playing the entirety of Master of Reality in their surf style.
No way. When's the date?
The 27th.
of Ock.
Of October, yeah.
I'm going. I got to meet these guys.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're the band opening up is Crohn's, and they're pretty good too. But two of the members of Crohn's are also in the Children of the Wave.
Oh yeah. Is Carl in the band?
No. He plays with everybody, but I guess he missed the call for the Black Sabbath cover band. It's Danny Bell on drums, Naomi Kavka, I think, on guitar, Britt Meyerhofer on the bass, and Nathan Kelly singing lead vocals.
You know too much.
I like Prince George bands. What could I say? What if you could paint one Prince George legend? Who would you paint?
Prince George has a legend?
There's legends everywhere.
Well, I'm not too big on Prince George knowledge.
Oh yeah?
Let's do Prince George, that prince from over across the pond.
Just a baby? What a terrible idea. I'm sure he would sell it in a heartbeat, though. People are crazy over royalty like that.
I don't know. I don't know what I'd want to paint from legendary Prince George.
I'm sure you've painted Mr. PG now. I bet.
A couple times.
He's in the mural at the airport, I believe.
I'm fascinated with the pine beetle. I want to paint him.
The pine beetle,
Yeah.
killing all our pine trees, making them blue.
Doing some devouring.
The blue wood pine beetle. Well, that's like an anti-hero. But I guess I just said legend, so who cares if it was in a negative way or a positive way. Could paint John Brink. He is a legend.
Who's he?
He's the guy that owns Brinks.
Okay.
Me.
Let's
I'd
move
say
on.
paint me. All right, let's paint it. Moving on. Next subject. Next. What do you got?
Well, I don't know. I've done 22 Harleys. Most of them were in Vancouver. 5, 6, or 7, maybe 8 up here.
So that's like the full gas tank and then the
Yep.
the shrouds over the wheels.
I've done a lot of gas tanks, the fenders, saddlebags. I've done a couple entire frames.
Have you painted like one of those classic images on the side of a van? Like the naked woman,
No.
something like that? No sides of the vans?
No, I haven't, but I learnt on one. I was sitting with Crazy George, an artist from Vancouver, and he allowed me to come into his shop and learn some techniques on the clear coating. And if you make a mistake, you know, if you like what you got, you clear it, and then the clear dries instantly. Those days are gone. They don't use that product anymore.
Must have been too dangerous to breathe in or something.
Yeah, it was highly toxic. But I did learn some tricks on a van, but I never really did a van. What I did was a 3-ton moving van for a renovator, and it was a pretty big scene. So your camera just shut off.
Yeah, that's the intermission. And we're back. This is the Garrett Perry podcast. 88.7 CFUR. I have to log that too.
Yeah. So what's next? Just keep firing questions.
Like when it comes to painting flames, I'm sure you paint flames all the time. Do you find that complicated, that process?
Actually, yes. The traditional teardrop flames, no. But painting the realistic real fire, making them flow and dance, and creating them out of my head is, I make them look too hard and rough and awkward. So I use reference from the internet, and I sort of follow along with what an actual real campfire flame looks like,
Mm-hmm.
and just look at it and see if I can copy that shape with those French curve stencils. But realistic fire is not so easy, and if you want to do it right, you gotta start with certain colors first, and it's usually a really orangey yellow you gotta start with, or an orangey red, and it's a build up. You gotta layer it, so it's time consuming. Yeah.
What about, like, what are some of your favorite things to paint then?
Skulls.
Nice.
Skulls and flames. Demons. Pin-up girls.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, like the ones on...
The old Milwaukee can.
they'll do.
Mm-hmm.
I consume enough.
Maybe they should sponsor you.
Beer, that is, not the girls. The ones that most fascinate me is the heavy metal illustrated fantasy.
That magazine.
That magazine comic book with the all adult content in it. So it's not meant for children under 18 or 19, but most of the covers feature, big sexy women with guns and swords and
Yeah, with the bra that's way too small, just like barely covering them up at all.
cleavage and dragons, and it's not always a girl on the front, but the majority of it is.
That's my memory of them, but I've only really seen the covers. Never really delved into the magazine. I saw the movie Heavy Metal.
Yeah,
It wasn't that great.
I didn't mind it.
The soundtrack, I've listened to the soundtrack a few times.
I still do.
It's awesome. I like the Devo song where they're working in a coal mine or whatever. I don't know why.
Yeah,
It's probably the least metal song on the album.
it is. Whip it good.
What was the Black Sabbath song they used on that? Was that
Mob Rules.
oh yeah, that's a classic Black Sabbath song off their second one with Dio. I guess music is a huge part of who you are too, right?
Yeah,
That's actually the first thing that we actually ever bonded apart, because you were wearing a UFO t-shirt
when I was purchasing my old Milwaukee that day.
and I worked in a liquor store and I'm like, hey, that's
Yep.
cool. I never see a UFO t-shirt.
Before.
I've never seen it. No, I just learned about the band too. It was Eddie Trunk. It was the Ozzy's Boneyard at the time before he went over to the Hair Station Nation. But he was a big proponent of pushing UFO and saying how underrated they were. So I went and picked up the Phenomenon album. I'd ordered online,
Yeah.
and I loved it. I love that album.
Yeah.
I should dig it out and listen to it again.
For sure. Tonight. That's how me and Garrett met. Through a UFO t-shirt at the liquor store. Yeah, and you were at my place last night, and you just informed me that you don't know who Diamond Head is.
Oh yeah, we were talking about the new wave of British heavy metal, and they were listing all these bands, and I think I just found out about another one too. It was the Tigers
Tigers of Pantang.
We listened to them a little bit, and they said that like that they were involved with all these like classic with uh Iron Maiden and stuff, and Diamond Head, and I'm like, who the heck is Diamond Head? And I don't even think we listened to it yet. I don't think we listened to it. I took off early.
No, we forgot. Well, you got Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Motorhead.
Motorhead isn't new wave of British heavy metal, is it?
Oh yeah. Oh yes, they were.
Isn't he American, Lemmy?
No, he's from London.
No.
Mm-hmm.
News to me, I guess. I don't know why. I just figured he was American.
No,
he's got that cowboy hat. He just looks American.
He's from England. He moved to L.A. to his favorite watering hole, and that's where he.
Oh yeah, the Rainbow Pub or whatever.
Yeah.
The one that he always played or always had apparently. I heard that he used to be a roadie for Jimi Hendrix. And you tell the story about that he went and scored 10 tabs of acid for Jimi Hendrix, and he said it was very nice. He gave Lemmy 3 hits of acid, and he took 7 for himself. He was like, holy crap. Jimmy knew how to party, I guess. That's why he died when he was 27.
Mm-hmm.
Overdose.
I can't verify that story. I never heard that one. I'm going to have to go investigate that on the net.
Do your research.
But yeah, rock, heavy metal, classic rock.
Like all the things that you painted on those jackets that were all heavy metal artists in some ways. Like, did you ever paint a jacket that wasn't a heavy metal artist?
Yes, and it just came to my mind. I painted Cher. Cher came to Vancouver about 3 years ago, and one of the girls I went to high school called me out of the blue through Facebook and said, Grinch, can you paint Cher on her white leather for the concert? And the concert's in like 2.5 months. I'll send it up to you. You send it back, and I think I whipped it off for $220. Everybody was happy.
Right on.
Yeah.
Cher, eh?
Cher.
Do you believe in life after love? You're listening to Garrett Perry Podcast, 88.7 CFUR.
And the Grinch is on this program. I was a fill-in. Garrett needed somebody canceled, so I thought I'd come up and plug my art. So yeah, I'm not a big Cher fan. I do like ABBA. I like the Carpenters. That Karen Carpenter, she's got one of the best voices ever. It's a shame that she passed away at 32. They were definitely on top of the world, but yeah, I mean, my art. What have I got written down here? Yeah, I put a dragon on a fairing in Prince George here. That's a front cover for Harley, and I did another fairing on a Harley of a Joker. I've painted a lot of stuff. Went down to the Caymans one time. Spent 3 months designing a restaurant with Paul Archer and his brother. $90,000 worth of work. Best time of our life. We put a mermaid wrapped around a post, holding some beads over a pond with dripping water, and we made a rock wall, and we made a treasure chest, 4x8 sheet of plywood, 3 feet deep, big, huge treasure chest sitting on the balcony, balancing. It looks like it's gonna fall on you, and all this gold coming out with goblets and coins, and we just put it all together with spray foam. And it's like, wow, that looks cool. We got the Carpenters to, not the band,
real carpenters.
The real carpenters from the Cayman Islands to make a bar, and make it like a boat was coming out of the side of the wall. And we dressed it up with fishnet, real fishnet, and threw clams and shells, and it's just kind of like a piratey bar theme. You know, we painted some huge oil paintings on the wall, just airbrushed right on the drywall with fake frame, the foam frame, and one of them was a mermaid. It was like 12 feet by 9 feet, and this mermaid was sitting on a rock nonchalantly with her tail curled, and she's sort of got her, as if she had knees. She had her knees crossed, but her tail was flipped up over her thigh, and she's combing her hair, right, as on the low tide, and it's just the coolest painting I've ever done. Another one in the Caymans was there. We found a picture in a book, and it was this beautiful princess in a swan boat. Had like you know, Vikings have the Viking boats, but this was a swan boat, and she was in a big pond with a castle in the background, and there was kind of misty fog and beautiful trees and tons of lily pads, but the reflection in the water of her was actually a swan.
Oh, cool.
So it was just gorgeous. Yeah.
Have you ever been commissioned to do like an album art for a band? Any bands?
I can't remember. No, actually.
That's surprising. I think that the airbrush art and music go together really well. I'm surprised. You recreate all these album covers.
Well, believe it or not, back in high school, 5440 was just coming out, and my girlfriend at the time, she met the band, and she got to actually do 5440's first album, and also she did the album cover for the first album from Strange Advance, and she gave me the opportunity to do either one of the or, and I chose not to steal that out from under her feet.
Okay.
Because, you know, she met them, it was her gig, and I just didn't want to do that to her, like, type thing.
Just did the right thing.
Yeah, I kind of did. I said, no, this is, you do it. Why are you giving this to me? Well, because I love you. Well, no.
That would have been awesome. It was kind of legendary, 5440. So she did the first album cover for 5440?
Yeah. Yeah. Or she had a part in it, because she was a photographer too.
Oh.
But I do recall the Strange Advance album was mostly her art. Yeah, I should have brought more props. I went up to Terrace to do a mural. My brother, I have another brother, Daryl, from another mother, from another father. No, same father, different mother. And I haven't seen him like forever, so I moved to PG, and
He lives in Terrace?
It's close enough for me, closer than Vancouver. So he said, a buddy of mine wants a mural. So get your ass, oops, can I say that?
Yeah.
Get your butt up to Terrace and come do a mural over the Christmas holidays and eat some turkey. So it was like school's out. I just went there, spent New Year's, spent Christmas, watched him get divorced.
Oh no.
Oh, it was horrible, but I went up there and I made $2,000.
Where was this mural? Was it a private one, or could people in Terra see this?
This guy owned a Bobcat company. I forget the company's name, but yeah, Bobcat company, and he's basically his garage off his house, pretty big garage, and the mural was I don't know, say 25 feet times 12, 13. And it featured a Viking ship with his dad and his mom in the boat. He's a native, but he's got some Norwegian Viking in him, and his dad was a Viking that came over and married a First Nation lady, and that's how he wanted it. Big full moon in the background with a wolf in it, and just a hard working crew on the oars coming into shore. So you can see that if you go on my Facebook and look for it. It's in there somewhere.
When you paint some of these big murals, sometimes you put yourself in it in a sort of Easter egg kind of capacity.
Yeah, it's kind of like a cameo. Put myself in it, like Stan Lee does in his superhero movies, or Alfred Hitchcock was doing it way back when. It wasn't really my idea. Like I featured a picture of a person tubing down on the Chaco in the
Prince George Canada Winter Games mural.
Yeah. So I was using a generic face from the internet, and then Rebecca Sinclair, my pal, biggest fan, she says, why don't you put yourself in the tube? And I said, all right. and then I put this huge oversized mosquito on my shoulder. Like, the mosquito, like his wingspan must have been as wide as my face.
Just what nightmares are made out of.
Yeah. So, that mural was mixed with big stuff and small stuff, all combining. I had what was it? There's a killer whale breaching out of the water, and he's jumping over something. And that mural also features a four-wheel quad in mid-flight over a big log that's being cut by a big blade, and there's a beaver on top looking at the blade, and he's in sort of confliction, or he says, "This is my job. You're taking my job away." I don't know. Thought that's how I put those things together.
You're listening to the Garrett Perry Podcast, 88.7 CFUR. Yeah. Only have one more of those to do, and we're done.
And Garrett has Grinch Airbrush in the house.
Grinch the Airbrush artist. You did a Pat Quinn. You did a mural of him after he passed away, and that is quite the impressive piece of art.
Yes, I did. Yeah, Pat Quinn was one of my favorite hockey players. I watched him in the 70s when I was just a kid. And, he went on to coach Toronto and Vancouver and stuff. And when he passed away, I just took it upon myself to do a piece because, he was a big feller. He's very good character. So I painted, and I tried to direct it towards the Cougars ice rink, and no one wanted it. Maybe I went about marketing it the wrong way, but then again, it was on a piece of plywood, nice piece of plywood, one good side. But then I contacted Trevor Linden when he came into town. He was doing the spring training here. The Canucks were going to do spring training here. Remember that?
I do remember that. You could go watch the Canucks do some training at the CN Center.
And Trevor Linden, he wasn't interested at all. He just basically came off very ignorant. He could have said it nicely. He said, "No, I'm not interested," but he just something about him. So that actually still hangs on my old shop, and it's lag bolted into the side. So good luck stealing it.
I was thinking about it. It's awesome, but I'm not that big fan of him. So, Pat Quinn.
But I'm gonna get out the I'm gonna get out the impact, and I'm gonna suck them lag bolts out, and I'm gonna put it on my new shop.
Nice.
So I'm gonna see if I can decorate my new shop with some tasteful art. You know, I mean, I know I did a good job on the Pat Quinn, but I don't know. It's just nobody wanted it, so it doesn't hurt, doesn't break my heart, but it's just trial and error.
It's a big piece. It must be 3-4 feet square.
It's 4 feet by 4 feet. You know, maybe if it was on canvas and properly wrapped around the frame, it would have moved.
Maybe you could just like make your own frame around the plywood.
Yep. Okay. Back in the Vancouver, when Hollyfield was fighting Tyson, remember when Mike Tyson bit Hollyfield's ear off?
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Well, that was very controversial. And,
Yeah.
And
That's not how you box. You don't box with your teeth.
Paul Archer calls me up right after this, and he goes, "Grinch, we're painting Hollyfield on the side of the nightclub downtown. Let's go, midnight mural time." So we get 4 of us together, and we know the people at the bar, and we ask, I forget her name. Let's call her Cindy. So what's her name? It's Cindy, Sherry, Tammy. I don't know. We said, "Listen, can we paint this on the side of your club?" Because there was an empty lot there. There was soon to be a building thrown in. Right, it was at the corner of Davie and Granville. So, anyways, they put up a building a couple years later, but we three tiers scaffold high, and we just picture of Hollyfield there with his ear off and bleeding, and we asked for a 2-4 of beer to get us through the night, and
you did that all in one night?
All in one night.
A 3-tiered. That's tall.
We did it in like 6-7 hours. We just blasted it up in like black and white with a few additives of color here and there, but yeah, we moved pretty quick back then in those days. There's 4 of us. We just grabbed the van, put the scaffold up, you know, get a 2-4 of beer for the boys, and Kelly was her name. She said, "One condition, is there some way you can put my club logo into the mural as advertisement?" And her club was called It's a Secret. And it was a dance club, right? Cabaret. It wasn't any naked dances going on. It was all normal. So we just wrote, "It's no secret, Tyson bites." And then okay, here's another one we did when Mark Messier, the Moose, was signed to the Canucks. We plastered him up on a wall in an overnight sensation. Gary Moore, was that his name? That Formula One car racer that
I couldn't tell you.
offed himself in a car crash. Anyways, his last name was Moore, Formula One car driver. I think he had a bad crash in Montreal. So we painted him. Ross Rebagliati, the guy who won the gold for snowboarding and then was accused of not getting it for smoking pot. So they call him Nickel Bagliati. And we did a commemorative piece for him. Ross wins the gold. Princess Di, she died. We did a sandwich board cutout, took her down to the consulate, the British consulate, and put her right in the center where all the flowers are being laid. Da Vinci, when he came to Victoria, we did a piece over there. I can't remember anymore. So yeah, I did one for Lemmy of Motorhead, Pat Quinn. Yeah, I still want to do one for Chuck Berry.
Dio.
That
would be a good one.
That's the one. I got his acetate already. I got the art. I just don't have the time. But this winter I might have some time just to finally do something that I want to do. I usually cater to the people. Everything's custom.
Gotta pay some bills.
Yeah. Grinch Airbrush in the house tonight.
This has been the Garrett Perry podcast. We got a couple minutes left on 88.7 CFUR. Any final thoughts?
Oh, former thoughts. Well, I'm here to fill in for your missing guests, and I'm just here to plug my art and see if, I cater to the public. Whatever people need, I can paint on anything. I painted a toilet reservoir once, put an otter with a sea urchin. Right? We had to sandblast the toilet in order to make it stick, then clear coated it. But I do Harley's murals, portraits, family portraits.
Yeah, and your portraits always turn out really well.
Yeah,
I've seen a few.
I can paint a face, and nail it, and have the customer not complain
too much.
I do clothing. I also just paint normal houses, bedrooms and baseboards.
Just like the white paint kind of thing.
But if you need something painted, some artwork, whatever, I'll paint it. I can repair kitchen cabinets. I do it all.
And yeah, check out his Facebook, Grinch Airbrush Artist. You won't miss it.
Yeah, Grinch Airbrush at Facebook.
Representing Prince George.
That's what I use Facebook for, is basically for business and keeping in touch with my high school buddies.
And that results in business too sometimes. Get to paint Cher on a white leather jacket.
Yep. How many minutes we got there, Garrett?
We got about 12 seconds left.
12 seconds?
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me on. It's been fun.
No doubt, eh?
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for coming on, man. Garrett Perry Podcast.
Bye-bye for now.